Hello guys, Beetlejuice here with my first race with the crew in GTA 5, and so far racing with these guys had been so fun. Now for reference, this is Racing Monkey's open wheel race event which is scheduled every Saturdays Philippine time. With that being said, let's dive into the race. At the start, I was placed at the back and I was contemplating on whether I'll race them wheel to wheel or just take a step back and wait for them to crash into each other. On this occasion, I just decided to race from the get-go and try to stay away from the chaos as much as possible. I benefited from a good launch and that catapulted me to P4. Now, I'm giving props to these racers because usually in GTA racing, everybody dies at turn 1, but for this race, no one died in front of me at turn 1, so it's an indication that these guys know proper racing. Okay, after that series of corners, I'm promoted to P3. I had a better exit than the guy in front, and at this point, I'm already thinking of hunting down the leaders. First impressions about the guys in front is that they are quick. They already managed to build a gap from the rest of the pack, and I need to work in order to catch up. Fast forward, I was already catching up with Chadog, and since my tires are still in good shape, I decided to strike while the iron is hot, and after every bend I felt like I'm catching him. So yes, the car drives well on this track, and to be honest, I like the twists and bends on this track because it gives racers a challenge to drive around the corners. And another thing is that almost every corners have guardrails, so people have very little room to cut corners. This section of the track is what I like the most because basically you can take this curve flat out if you want to, and after that, it's just a series of insane corners which doesn't require brakes. Just lift off and try to hit the apexes for better exit.
Honestly, what are we doing? Racing or ping-pong?
And that right there, guys, is where my race was ruined. I tried to go for the line outside and try and pass him outside, but that did not happen because he showed me into the guardrail. In addition, I also lost my front wing in the process, and without the front wing, I have less downforce. Less downforce means less traction means I will understeer, so there's no other choice for me but to go into the pits and to get a new front wing. Now, I'm going into the pits thinking of having longer stints, so I went for the hard compound tires because those are the most durable out of the three options. Being the most durable, it will let me go longer without pitting, and at the end of the day, this is 25 laps. Anything can happen. Out of the pits, I met Sugoi who almost collected me, and since my tires are fresh, I want to clear him as fast as I could, as clean as I could. So on this opening stint, I tried to push the car more by carrying more speed into the corners in order to pass Sugoi. Sugoi, on the other hand, is driving a PR4 which is aesthetically pleasing to the eye. At the same time, in my opinion, it is the best car for cornering. However, he has damage, so that affects his driving a lot, and I capitalize on it.
See you
And
later,
after
son.
several bends, I managed to catch him. Talking more about the PR4, it is a late 80s inspired Formula 1 car, the era where Prost-Senna rivalry started. Meanwhile, the BR8, which is what I'm driving at the moment, is inspired by the 2013 F1 cars, the year where Sebastian Vettel won his last world championship. Now, if you ask me if he will win this year, I highly doubt it. His new team, Aston Martin, is still learning the ropes on becoming a top tier F1 team. I think Vettel will be racing more in the midfield rather than competing at the front end of the grid. Going back to the race, Lando Norris pits, which work in favor of me. Now I'm racing in clean air, away from the back markers, because to be honest, back markers in GTA are the worst. They will intentionally fuck your race up and act as mobile chicanes to waste your time. Fortunately, these guys are able racers and only met a handful of back markers, unlike racing with randoms where you meet back markers at lap 2. Yes guys, in random lobbies for the most part of playing racing on this game, I'm already encountering back markers on lap 2 on most of the races. But that's the beauty of GTA racing, it pushes you to drive around the problem, which is in this case are back markers. Going back to the race, I met a back marker, the Viax 23. Now for this instance, the goal is similar from before, which is to pass him as clean as possible. Now, in normal racing, back markers get out of the way. In GTA, you respect back markers as if they're the guys in front. Because if I don't respect him and just send it down the inside, I will most certainly lose my front wing again, and I don't want that at this stage of the race. Apparently, going down this bend, I met another back marker. His name is Raulo, which in English means crazy. Now, if his name is a representation of his driving, then I'm going to have a hard time passing him. Fortunately, he touched the guardrail, so that's one less thing to worry about, and I also managed to pass the Bryax going out of the corner by using Curse. Curse stands for Kinetic Energy Recovery System. It's an electrical component incorporated to the engine that gives you more horsepower. Nowadays in modern Formula 1, they call it ERS or ERS, which still serves the same purpose, and that is to aid drivers in passing other drivers. Now, going to lap 11, my mindset is to not catch the leaders but instead to preserve the tires in order to prolong my stint. So I could catch the leaders by pitting less, and at the same time I'm hoping that they abuse their tires so that they would pit more times than me. So basically I was gambling on tire deg at this stage. Just as I've said that, I catch a dog in the pits, but I had a brain fart which resulted in me spending longer time in the pits for no apparent reason. Now, he already built a gap because of my inaptitude, but now that I saw him, I switched my game on and drove aggressively in order to catch him. Aggressive meaning I'm braking as little as possible and using tighter racing lines just so I could shave more time off my average delta from previous stints. Fast forward into the race, I was catching him rapidly, maybe because his tires are dead. So to sum it up, the race in front was really close. Even the third place guy is only several seconds away from us. So on the last section of the track, I was breathing down his gearbox, but as expected, he had to pit. His tires are dead, so he basically did an overcut, and now I really need to abuse these tires by going fast as I could, but at the same time, my tires are on red, so if I were to push hard, I must do it conservatively to avoid punctures. Now, since he overcutted me, it meant that I needed to pit the next lap so I could match him with one lap pressure tires on the next stint. So yeah, just as I've said before, the race was close in the latter stages, and I'm lucky enough that I only encountered few back markers, which means I did not lose as much time, and that made the catching up part a tad bit easier. I went into the pits for a fresh set of medium tires. Now this is where we'll find out if the overcut strategy Shadog did will work on me.
Okay, he pushed me off the track. I think you have to leave the space. All the time you have to leave the space.
And just as I were preparing my car to take the corner, he sends a big one inside and left me no space to operate. So that's twice now that he put me into the wall. And at this point, I had to turn on Eurobeat for more horsepower.
Forever
Karma.
together, forever together.
And that's it for this video. If you want to join our races, the race is scheduled every Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time. Everybody's welcome. And to sum it up, everybody had fun during this race. Me especially, but it was a shame that Shadow crashed out. It would have been a Titanic ending if he didn't crash out. Anyways, thank you guys for watching and see you on the next one.